My name is Jennifer. I am 32 years old and I have been married to my husband, and 3 years has passed already. Our marriage has been stuck in a rut for years, and I get the feeling that intimacy and feelings between us are getting a little weaker compared to how it was when we first got married, but I'd like to think that we still love each other in our own way. We do occasionally fight, but we celebrate each other's birthdays and wedding anniversaries every year, and we live together without any major issues. Perhaps we're becoming more like a family than just a loving Nova couple. For me, I didn't have that much trouble in the relationship I had with my husband, but we did have some issues with my mother-in-law, Laura. Laura was what you'd call a typical AO wife typea mother-in-law who would pick on me and bully me and fall into her trap.
Oh my goodness, the meals you cook are not very tasty. They're just plain mean. It's not even good enough to be called good.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to be more conscious about my health and making healthy meals while also trying to cut back on salt as much as possible.
Well, the other day, Charles told me not to make any fried meals that often, right? When Charles stayed over at my house the other day, I made him some fried foods, and he was so happy. Charles was saying that there was no food or any meals with fried food at his house while he was eating what was cooked for him. You have to make what your husband okay. Are you sure you're not just being immature and saying things like how afraid of the oil when you fry that?
No, that's not what I mean at all. Well, I will try to make them from.
The reason I do make any fried food is because my husband's numbers from his annual medical checkup are not perfect numbers. And that's also another reason why I'm cutting back on salt. I'm trying to take perfect care of my husband's health, but as his own mother, Laura, is just interfering with what I should do. These thoughts came to my mind as I was really irritated by Laura and everyone says to me. But if I tried to say, see like that to her, she would get furious. So I had no choice but to reply with arguing back to Laura and just shut her up. But even if I did that, Laura's bullying towards me did. Stop it all. And what she said was mentally stressing me. And well, Laura does the exact same thing to me every time I see her. She asks me if I'm pregnant with her grandchild or not. I thought she wouldn't go into that since my husband has an older brother and he and his wife already have a child. It didn't seem to matter at all. Are you kidding me? One annoying things people say to couples struggling with infertility. My husband and I have decided to let nature take its course. And well, to be honest, we can really afford to go through with it at this time. In fact, just a few days ago, my husband lost his job because he said he was depressed. Charles has received a doctor's note stating that he has been receiving unemployment benefits. This does not change the fact that he is still unemployed. So having a baby is just adding to his financial burden. Since I'm currently working, we're making ends meet for now. But with rising expenses and other expenses we have very little money saved up. Despite that, Laura seems to visit the house often during the daytime while her husband is now at home, and they both eat together or get food delivered. And it seems like my husband is pay all of it. So, in other words, it's like paying for both of you to eat out, but getting food delivered instead. No matter how much unemployment benefit a husband can receive from the government, it is only for a limited period of time, and he cannot afford to have a luxury. But neither my husband nor Laura understood this situation at all. A year passed in the blink of an eye. Her husband's unemployment benefits ran out. During that time, my husband didn't even look at posting for a new job or try to do anything at all. Well, I can't really tell Charlie strongly about this because he is depressed. So I would say it in a more indirect way to my husband. Why don't you get a job? But he would always reply with, not yet. But my husband is really energetic, eats a lot, and does not house chore to help around the house and plays games all the time. And Laura would spoil my husband so that he should rest until he's satisfied every time she sees him. The other day, Laura would just ever about Charles' situation by saying, it's not your fault that my son hasn't recovered. From my perspective, my husband spends too much time away from home, and I do not feel like being blamed for that. Then, something happened that further escalated for the worse in our marriage. It all started when my father-in-law Jack became ill and passed away. Until then, Laura had been living too with Jack, but with his passing, she all alone. So now she came up with the idea one together with either our family or family. John and I had a bad feeling that La come up with this idea when we were Jack's funeral. At the funeral, Laura was unusually quiet. John and his wife had often been concerned by Laura's silence at the funeral. So this time, Laura's stupid proposal came up, and I do know what my idiot thought, but he decided that Laura should live with us without even discussing it with me. This is the conversation I had with my husband a few days after Jackie's funeral.
My mother will come over soon. She said she'll bring a lot of stuff with her, so she told me to tell you to make sure your room is ready for her to sleep in.
Oh, is that so? Is she staying the night? How long is she going to stay at our for?
What the heck are you saying? My mother is going to stay with us if she's going to live with us from now on.
Please sign this.
With that, I brought out the divorce had kept in a drawer to my husband. He was lying on the sofa, but jumped up when he saw that what I had brought out were divorce papers.
Excuse me? Why?
Well, isn't it obvious? Do you have any idea how much Laura has been bullying and harassing me this year? I wanted nothing more to do with Laura, and now she wants to live with us? I really can't believe this is happening. And I'm sick and tired of you deciding an important thing all on your own, even telling me about it beforehand. Why can't we discuss these important matters as a married couple?
That's a great idea. Because at the end of the day, it's all going to be down to my decision anyway.
What's up with that? Are you saying that you won't listen to what I have to say and what my opinions are?
Once I heard my husband's true feelings, which completely gave me a shock, my affectionate feelings and love for him was completely gone all at once.
I really can't do this anymore. Let's get a divorce right now.
No, come on. Hold on a second. Divorce is not the right answer.
It means that for you, I'm just there. I can just do what you say, right? You're going to just make me do all chores and earn money. With my job now, you'll make me take care of your mother.
That's not what I meant.
I knew there was no point in talking to Charles anymore, since he had already made up his mind. I went to my room and started packing my things. While I started packing, I realized that the amount of things I had was less than what I thought. Come to think of it, Laura came over to my house and tried to mess with everything and throw some of my things away without permission. I seriously hated that. So that's why I moved all my important stuff to my parents before. And because of that, I realized that I had spent most of my life as a minimalist house. Therefore, even if I was leaving this place, I really didn't even need the movers to move my things, as I could move them all by myself. I could just pack my clothes in my bag, and I would only need one card for cooking utensils and other things. I put the pans and pots in the empty cardboard box, and my husband was looking at me with a panicked look on his face.
Are you really going to leave?
Well, yes, of course.
Please think it over.
I was just deeply shocked by his refusal to apologize for what he had done after all this time, so I just stuffed my belongings into the car and left. My parents were surprised that I had shown up so late at night, but when I explained the situation and what had been happening to them, they were just shocked. Hearing what had happened, my father, you should just leave him. Which feel a little better. I didn't want to talk to my husband, called me that day, so I turned off and just got into my bed. Thank God I had the next 2 days off, was the weekend. It's really difficult to work in such a mindset. The next morning, I was really impressed that breakfast was ready when I woke up and enjoyed my mother's meals. I feel a little better after spending my first night at home with my parents. After I calmed down a little, I turned on my phone, thinking that I would be getting a lot of calls by now. Then I saw many incoming calls and text messages from my husband. My husband had apparently gone back to Laura's house and had sent me messages.
I'm currently at my mother's house. I'm helping her pack her things. When you said divorce, you were just really emotional. So that's why you lashed out talking about divorce. Well, I forgive you now, so just consume. My mother also says that there's no wife should leave her husband in L house like that. Oh, and just to let you know, I tore up those divorce papers. Well, you can stay at your parents' a couple of days, so get yourself quickly and come home soon.
What the hell? Why did Charles tear up the divorce without my permission? I really can't believe him. I was so angry that I replied as if I was already dealing with a stranger.
For your information, I am not being emotional and I am being logical here. The reason I want to divorce you is that you told me we were living together with Laura. Firstly, you didn't tell me that you had quit your job. And after that, you did not look for it all and just stayed at home, right? And you did no house chores or even help around the house at all. I can already hear your excuses saying because you are depressed, but that is not true. Do you know? The other day, I met one of your friends. You remember Bill, who was at our W, right? Well, he said that the reason why you quit was because you had an argument with your boss. Plus, Bill said that you made a mistake, but you went against your boss, who was angry with you for the mistake you made on your own, huh? And yet, you took advantage of the strict compliance rules and you lied, claiming you were being power harassed by your boss. After that, I went to the hospital to get a doctor's note to prove that I was depressed. What a low-life scumbag you are. Who would want to stay married to S person like you? I will send you the divorce papers, so please make sure you check it and them this time. If you don't sign the papers, I up and sue you so we can fight and see.
It's so refreshing to say all the things I wanted to say to my husband, finally. After sending this message, my husband stopped responding to me at all. Then, the day after I sent the divorce papers, I received a message from H saying that he had signed the papers and submitted them. It seems that he was quite scared. One messages. I replied, please never contact me again through this number. And I blocked Charles' number. As for my ex-husband, he was all about the details. He said that my ex-husband had been evicted from his house because he couldn't pay the rent after I left. He then returned to Laura's house as an unemployed scumbag and relied on Laura's pension. And John said that Laura had contacted him and his wife asking for help, but John had refused to help. Laura knew that his wife was severely bullied by her. He will never forgive Laura for what she did. So now Laura works as a janitor in an office building because she needs to support her son since her pension is not enough to cover them both. As for Charles, he really couldn't fit in with the society and work properly in the company. And because of his terrible lifestyle of not moving around much, well, both Laura and Charles got what they deserved. I, on the other hand, started dating a colleague from work and got married later. And then I got pregnant and we had currently my husband, our son, and I are getting along very well and having a great time together. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.